Mm-mm. Well, good Sunday morning, friends. Mark Holmes here, of course, with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo. And as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. I hope everybody's having a great holiday weekend. Today's the day you got to get your ass back home and get ready for work. That's right. The new week is upon us, and it's not all bad news because 2 weeks and 2 days from today, in fact, 60 days from today, the NFL season kicks off. Training camp, the players will start reporting in 2 weeks and 2 days. And actually, some of them, like Dak Prescott, usually doesn't take the team flight. He'll probably be in Oxnard in 2 weeks. And I don't know about you, I am so ready. It's been a disappointing offseason because we haven't seemed to have done anything. We haven't signed our own players. We brought in Eric Kendricks. We brought in Zeke Elliott, and that's about it. So you sit here and you wonder what the hell is going on and so on. But we will be discussing this today at 5 o'clock Eastern. If you are one of our great channel members, first of all, let me say thank you all so much for being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report and being a channel member. All the support from you guys has just been amazing. If you are a channel member, 5 o'clock Eastern, you can join in on the conversation because you can give us your perspective of how you feel about the Cowboys. Are the Cowboys headed for that 5-12 season like Dan Saleo says? Or the Cowboys, as Jerry Jones thinks, all in and ready to make a run for the Super Bowl? We've been hearing rumors about the Cowboys maybe selling to Saudi Arabia. Of course, America's team being then owned by a Saudi country. Of course, we don't take a whole lot. We don't have a whole lot of belief in that. But then again, nothing would surprise us. We don't know where we stand with Dak, CD, or Micah Parsons as far as contract goes. All I can hear is from a good source is they're going to get them done. They're going to get them done at their time when they are ready. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what we're going to see. Beyond that, you guys can chime in. We're going to have my main buddy there, of course, Leo Bridgewater, him and I had a great conversation the other day. It might be something that we do on a regular basis. That way, maybe he'll slow his roll when we have our conversations. So as we sit here this morning, I'm going to tell you the biggest key for the Dallas Cowboys offense to really rock and roll. Now, that's not to say that they haven't been rocking and rolling. They are one of the top scoring teams for the last several years. With Dak Prescott at the helm, it doesn't matter if we lose Amari Cooper, doesn't matter if we lose Zeke, doesn't matter if we lose Edric Wilson, doesn't matter if we lose Tyron Smith. All of these things keep changing. Doesn't matter if we lose Jason Garrett or Kellen Moore. This offense always puts up points. To keep this thing, to take it to another level, I'm going to say, basically I'm a broken record. Okay, listen, it's the off season. It's the dead time, okay? So a lot of shit's going to be repeated, all right? Just deal with it. Be that as it may, the biggest key and the biggest person we need to step up to go to another level is Jake Ferguson. If Jake Ferguson can continue his rise to the top, that, my friends, is one of the biggest keys out there. Jake Ferguson as a rookie, 19 receptions, 174 yards, 9.2 yard average, 2 TDs. Jake Ferguson, year number 2, 71 receptions, 761 yards, 10.7 yard average. He's not going to take a jump that big. He's not going to take the jump like he did from his rookie to his sophomore year. But if he can take a 25% step, if we can get him to about 1,000 yards, to about 85 catches, what that will do for this offense will be amazing, okay? He literally has to become Dak Prescott's go-to guy. Much in the way that Jason Witten was Tony Romo's security blanket. Or we can go back to Jay Novacek, the original security blanket. Because, see, here's the thing with the tight end. And this is, I guess, tight end is the ultimate position flex for Stephen Jones, who loves position flex. You know, we want a guy who can play multiple positions. Tight end is the ultimate when you talk about position flex, because they're really too big to be a wide receiver and slow, but they're too small to be an offensive lineman. Typically what you call that is a tweener. That's a guy who's in between positions. And see, the thing is you're a mismatch. Tight ends generally are taller, 6'4", 6'6", and things like that, than your cornerbacks. You're going to be working in the middle of the field. So, linebackers are usually a little shorter, or you end up seeing the cornerbacks and the safeties. They're smaller guys. So you're a big target. You are easy to be found in the middle of the field. And usually when things break down, you want a big target, something that you can see, something that you can put up in the air, and he's going to go up and get it because he's a big target. And when things broke down for the Cowboys, Jay Novacek was the guy. When it's a blitz coming, Troy Aikman, where is Jay Novacek? Let me get the ball to him. We've seen our back broken by George Kittle. Down the seam, tipping up a pass, boom, coming down with it, getting big first downs when it should have been knocked away or possibly intercepted. But be that as it may, those are game-changing players. And here's the thing that's kind of crazy is, everybody, chicks dig the deep ball. Chicks love deep passes. But when we go through the list of Super Bowls, let's just go for about the last 10 years or so, okay? Because the names that are out there, when you start thinking about every one of these teams has had an outstanding or a lights out tight end. Kansas City, of course. Kelsey, okay? The last two, Kelsey, one of the best in the business, without a doubt. The Rams, Tyler Higbee, he's not as great as Kittle, but he's still a really good one. But they also had a lot of people to go around with that. That team was just loaded every position. But again, Tyler Higbee, definitely a very good tight end. Before that, Tampa Bay, Gronk. Then you go back to Kansas City, Kelsey. Go back to New England, Gronk. Eagles, I would say Zach Ertz was his pinnacle, and he was a Pro Bowler that season. Yeah. Go back to New England, Gronk. When you go to Denver, it was Virgil Green. Virgil Green was a good, I'm not going to say he was an outstanding tight end, but that Super Bowl team, it wasn't predicated on the offense. Peyton Manning only had like 13 touchdown passes. That was all about the D right there. You go back to New England, Gronk. So you see the correlation here. All of those teams, you didn't have the number one wide receivers on there. I think maybe New England did in 2015, maybe. New England may have been the last one to have a number one wide receiver leading the league. I may be wrong on that, but I think that's the only one. But you see every single one of those had, with the exception of Denver, had an above average, dare say, an elite tight end. And that's where you have to get to. Because here's the thing. Anybody knows me, it's very personal with 12 personnel. 12 personnel is using two tight ends. And using those tight ends, they can be receivers or they can be blockers. And in today's NFL, unlike the 90s where we could just be bigger, stronger, and faster because there wasn't a salary cap, Cowboys could stockpile talent. And we could literally just say, we're running the football right here. Right here. This Emmett's coming right here. Try and stop us. Today's football is so watered down and balanced, you don't have those advantages. So you have to be where they're not going to be, or you have to keep them guessing. Typically, when you line up in 12 personnel, 2 tight end sets, that tells the defense this is a running formation, typically short yardage, because they've got 7 guys to block. Defense counters by 8 men in the box. But one thing we actually were doing really well is we'd line up in 12 personnel, 1 running back, and then you all of a sudden put the running back in motion to an empty backfield. You end up shifting, and the tight end goes out wide. Now, with the defense caught with bigger, slower people on the field, with 8 guys in the box, with single high safety and 2 cornerbacks, I've got 5 people that are going out in routes. Advantage offense. If the defense says, you're not going to fool me on that one. If I've got a good blocking 2 tight ends, you're not going to go ahead and get in 8 men in the box, then we will just run it. We'll just keep running it till you shift. And when you shift, then we'll shift. And this gets it to the point where whatever the defense does, it's a no-win situation because you can't counter all of it if you have a game-changing tight end. That is the key. Dalton Schultz was a good tight end, but Dalton Schultz was not a great tight end. Dalton Schultz can get the ball and go out of bounds. Dalton Schultz was not a game changer or a game breaker. We started to see bits and pieces of that with Jake Ferguson, and if he can continue doing that, it will bode well for this offense next year. They said, Dan Salio, when I was on the show on Wednesday, he wanted to know on the over or under, if I take 32 over or under for Dak Prescott's touchdowns, figuring that Zeke Elliott was going to be back, that Zeke Elliott would be more of a short yardage, goal line running back to get us in the end zone. And that does have a point there. But I also believe that Jake Ferguson, who got 5 TDs last year, is going to become a red zone target for Dak Prescott. And I can't wait to see how that dynamic grows. If he can develop into one of the top tight ends, being there in the conversation with the Kittles and the Kelseys and guys like that, this offense would be phenomenal. And this is where people look and they'll say, well, your running game is going to take a step back because of Zeke coming in instead of Tony Pollard. Our running game was not good last year, but this is where the tight end can help take some of that pressure off the running game. If the Cowboys are effective with CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Cooks and Jake Ferguson in there, that's going to stretch the field. And as it stretches the field, because teams are having to worry about stopping a Jake Ferguson as opposed to, say, a Jason Witten, who, when Jason Witten would always catch the football, but Jason Witten wasn't breaking any tackles. Jake Ferguson can go. And if you have that dynamic, teams can't just say, well, we're just going to, single cover these guys and we're going to keep everybody in the middle. No. They have to be honest, and you'll stretch the field. And as you stretch the field, it will make the running game opened up. So that's where it's the cause and effect. Some teams will run the football to set up the pass. The Cowboys, with Mike McCarthy's philosophy, will be, we're going to pass the football to set up the run. And I think it'll actually work very, very good. But the linchpin in all of that is Jake Ferguson having a great season. So, of course, we have our talking heads that are, of course, always talking about what? Dak Prescott and everything else. So this was their update from yesterday about Dak Prescott and his ankle. Now, last night, Dak posted pictures of him walking around in Mexico enjoying and relaxing with no boot on. So it seems to be that there's no there. And I'm actually thinking, did Dak do this to keep people on their toes? Did Jerry call up Dak and say, hey, Dak, Dak, how you doing, man? I know you're on vacation and stuff, but right now there ain't nothing going on but the rent right now. We need something to talk about here and deflect some of this shit that's going on. How about you go ahead? I'm gonna send you one of those soft casts. I know you're fine and everything else, but let's give people a heart attack. Let's give the networks out there something to talk about. Just take one picture with you with that boot on and watch that shit just go viral. Let's do this as a little experiment to see if we can literally control the media and trick their emotions. You watch, okay? Yeah, and I honestly think that's really what happened. That's really what they did. So let's listen into them.
As well, and that's where we're going to start, gentlemen, because an injury scare for the Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott recently suffered a minor foot sprain that temporarily required a walking boot. He was pictured there wearing the boot while on vacation in Cabo. Dak is entering the final year of his contract. Cowboys will hold their first training camp practice July 25th. Now, Dak addressed the picture in a text message to the Fort Worth Star-Telegram saying, quote, "I'm great." Said the boot was for precautionary reasons because, quote, "the last time I went deep sea fishing, my ankle swelled up." Prescott said, quote, "the ankle, same issues that he's been dealing with since undergoing season-ending surgery for a fractured ankle 4 years ago in 2020. Okay, Graz, I guess the big question here is, what more information do you have on this? Because, there were unconfirmed reports of an MRI. What more can you tell us?
Dak Prescott broke his ankle in the 2020 season and had surgery to repair it. And look, I think once that happens to you, the thing is never 100% the same, right? So he has, as he mentions there, been dealing with, managing it off and on since then. And the sense I got yesterday calling around on this was that there was not a high level of concern, that this is the kind of thing that he does from time to time to either prevent the ankle from bothering him or to react when it does, and that they are not concerned. He did everything throughout the offseason. We're 3 weeks from training camp. If he shows up in training camp and he's not on the field because of the ankle, then I think we sound the alarm. But as of now, given the fact that he's been able to manage it and play at a high level for 3 seasons since returning from the injury, I think, we sort of are left to take him and the team at their word that they're not concerned about this, and this is normal management of the issue.
Mm-hmm. Mike T, I know, former general manager. What do you think Jerry Jones' level of concern is with this news?
Well, look, they've had him for a number of years since the injury, as Graz pointed out. And to me, old Coach Parcells' line here is we go by what we see. And this guy has answered the bell post-injury, so I wouldn't be that concerned. But I would tell you as a GM, Brian, I would say to Dak, hey, if the last time you went deep-sea fishing, your ankles swelled for whatever reasons, they swelled up, don't do it. Let's find something else. In your tax bracket, there's no shortage of activities you could do over July 4th. So let's just stay away from deep-sea fishing.
Yes, expected to make $29 million here, final year of his contract. Speaking of that contract, Neek, from a player's perspective, how much should an injury risk weigh into Dak's contract decision-making, you think?
Dak's, from his experience, it shouldn't weigh very much, as Graz pointed out, but I don't know. I'm a lot more risk averse than Dak Prescott. If there is a quibble over a couple million here or there, I'm gonna go ahead and take that money when I can. Also think that I don't know much about deep sea fishing. Like, I'm a city boy. I grew up in cities, and that's where I spend my time now. But I don't think you actually go deep in the sea. I'm confused at what you are doing in the water that makes your ankle swell up. Maybe
Seriously?
you should take Mr. T's advice and stop doing whatever it does that make your ankle swell until you're done. When you're done playing football, swell that thing up as big as a balloon. But until then, go ahead and do things that don't involve getting your ankle swollen.
I gotta go to you here, Graz. From an injury perspective.
Hold on. When you go deep sea fishing, you're not like swimming in the water. You're on a boat. out deep in the sea. So if you're out into the ocean, let's say 10 miles offshore, you got good sized waves. Maybe you got 3-5 foot waves. You're on a boat that is rocking up and down with the waves, in which case your weight is shifting from side to side, back and forth, which is all on the ankle. It's flexing left, it's flexing right, it's putting more stress on it. That's what's happening when you're out deep sea fishing. You're not saying, oh, he didn't say skin diving fishing, in which case there wouldn't be any stress on it unless you got a shark that ate you. Are you serious, people? You guys are literally here talking about the guy, and you're supposed to be sports analysts, and you don't know deep sea fishing? Seriously? Seriously. Okay.
There in the contract, especially when you talk about the contract decision making here. Give me your thoughts on that for Dak.
Well, I don't think Dak is concerned because, again, it was a contract year in 2020 when he broke his ankle 5 games into the season, and he still ended up the following spring with sort of the mother of all quarterback contracts. This is what we've been talking about all year, right? Like, he's got all the leverage. He's got, they've got a $40+ million cap hit on him for 2025, regardless of whether he's on the team. He has a no trade clause. They can't franchise him. So he
Somebody finally got it right.
Following a sean in which he suffered a significant season-ending injury. So I don't see why he would fear that, given the way it went last time. If he gets hurt, his worst-case scenario is he's unrestricted free agent, and other teams besides the Cowboys can bid on him this time. From the Cowboys' standpoint, they still want to sign him. I wouldn't be surprised if talks picked up here between now and training camp. Whether that results in a deal or not ultimately is up to Dak. Again, he's the one holding all the cards.
And Brian,
there you go.
Fundamentally, as Gross pointed out, because you can't franchise him, if he's within 20% of how he played last year, someone's going to pay him a lot of money. Let's focus on a team like the Raiders, who have so many good skilled players, Brock Bowers, Devontae Adams. Imagine what they would be with somebody like Dak Prescott. So I'm sure in the back of his mind, he'd love to work out with the Cowboys, drafted by them, and his career with them. But if he's even close to last year, I really do think that number is going to begin with a 6 next March, $60 million a year. Someone's going to get to that level.
Yep.
Trevor Lawrence is at $55 million. And if he's anywhere close to his performance last year, that's where he'll be next year.
Yeah,
it's funny because we've been talking about $60 million all off season, and it's like now it's a surprise. We've been talking about $60 million all off season. All right, good people, we will see you all at 5 o'clock. I got some work that I'm going to be doing here at the Red Brick House. And let me say, and I need to go ahead and get a list together. Shout out to a bunch of people who have helped us. We are doing a brick campaign for the Red Brick House because we are working on getting it on the National Registry. It's about a $3,500 fee, application fees for that, and hopefully we can actually get it registered. And so we've had some people who have donated, and they're purchasing bricks that will be customized for our walkway that will be here permanently. I'm Mark Holmes, and I appreciate each and every one of you guys, and we will see you soon.